Now we are joined by Sriya, who will share her story.
Thank you. So I'll start off by saying that first and foremost, I'm sharing my story because I never saw anyone who looked like me share their story. And so when I first got pregnant and unexpectedly pregnant and needed an abortion, I was like, wow, I'm probably the first brown woman who's ever had to have an abortion, which is just patently false. But I just think it's great that we're here in this environment sharing stories. With that said, in December of 2014, I was in my first semester of grad school. It was finals week, and I had been feeling nauseous for a few weeks, and I thought it was because of stress and finals, but I figured, you know, just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna go to Planned Parenthood and get a free pregnancy test because I couldn't even afford to buy one at CVS. When I went to Planned Parenthood and the counselor said, you know, your tests came back positive. And I was like, that just cannot be possible. And she was like, you look really surprised, but yeah, like you're pregnant. And I was like, that's not possible. I have an IUD. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I did everything right. How did this happen? I did everything right to prevent myself from being in this situation because I am a good, responsible, mature 24-year-old who doesn't get unexpectedly pregnant, and yet here I was. But I was also incredibly fortunate because I was able to get scheduled for an abortion the very next day. I didn't have to go through any sort of mandatory waiting periods. Nobody had to sit me down and read out a bunch of false facts about what's going on in my body. I had the agency to make my own choices, and I didn't have to worry about cost because Medicaid covered the entire cost of my abortion. And that is so not the case for so many people, but I was insane that all of those things lined up in my favor. And honestly, the abortion was a very boring experience, because it happened the way it was supposed to. It was a standard medical procedure. I went in, had to sit in the waiting room, I got it done. I got all-you-can-eat graham crackers afterwards and ginger ale. And on my way out, there was a bowl of all-you-can-take condoms. It was great, but also just like nothing to write home about because it was a standard medical procedure. I think the main hiccup that I have had to kind of deal with as a result of my abortion is the stigma that comes around the fact that I've had one. And it's weird because my partner at the time was very loving, very supportive. My friends were very loving, very supportive. I lived in New York City, the most supportive bubble you could be in if you've had an abortion. But my parents are immigrants, and cultural stigma is, a huge hurdle to get over. And so it's just so weird to have to keep this from the two people I love more than anything in the world. And they're so proud of me because I've been able to achieve a lot because I don't have a kid that I have to take care of. And it's just so weird to not be able to tell them, the fact that you're proud of me is because I've done something that you're going to hate me for. And it's weird because one of the things that really solidified my decision to get an abortion is that at the point where I was in my life when I got unexpectedly pregnant, I could not have cared for that child. And my parents were literally the greatest parents in the world. I'm sure your parents are great too, but mine were like truly the best. And there was no way I could match the level of love and support and encouragement they gave me at that point in my life. And if I can't do that, then it's not fair to the child I would have had to have. So really it was like kind of their fault that I got an abortion in the first place because I just couldn't have been as good a parent as them. And I just want to say all that to them, but I don't know, fear can be a crippling thing, and it's weird because I've told my story to hundreds of people, to complete strangers who don't know me, But the two people who, are closest to me, who birthed me, I can't bring myself to share that with them. So that, it sucks. I don't know how else to put it. But hopefully as this discussion continues to happen and grows, we'll get to a place. So yeah.
So powerful. Thank you for sharing, Sriya.
Yeah, thank you.
What connections do you see between yourself and the Jane Doe cases that we've been speaking about?
So I think the connection is more like the contrast. I was, like I said, super privileged in a way and fortunate in that I was able to access the care I needed when I needed it and didn't have to worry about cost. And I had the agency to act the way I wanted to. Someone who doesn't have documentation, someone who is underage, someone who is in a country where they don't know the language, someone who doesn't have any sort of support network, just doesn't have that. And it's like a privilege to say I had a boring abortion. And so I think it's something to be mindful of, certainly for people who are in my situation, that there are so many people out there who still need this care, and it's an incredible hurdle to get what should be as normal as like a tooth filling. But they can't, and that in turn affects the rest of their lives. And that is a huge thing to have to come to terms with.
Thank you so much for sharing, Sriya.
Thank you.